During a writing class in college, I chose to write about the artistic viability of video games as a medium. I had a long conversation with my professor about why, in his mind, video games could never be considered art. It's been over a decade since that conversation, but I still remember some of the emotional points he made. He related to me the experience of seeing the birth of Venus in person, and being overcome with emotion from the sheer beauty of the piece. He was brought to tears by the work. Video games cannot elicit the same type of emotional response in a viewer, he argued. I was young, and I've always struggled with knowing exactly why I feel a way about something without abundant introspection. And after a full college essay of argument, he conceded little ground. High art, he explained, allows the viewer to appreciate the piece. Games are incomplete until someone plays it, and art is something that is taken in and appreciated, not something that the viewer creates themselves. This is a conversation that has been with me for a decade. At the time, I didn't know how to articulate my emotional reaction. I didn't know what I could say to change his mind. So I'm taking this time to respond to my professor, and you'll see by the end of this video how games are a unique medium, and how their interactivity doesn't have a thing to do with their viability as art. To understand a medium, you must first understand its components. Just as a film has the scene, games have loops. This might be a term you're familiar with. Loops are the fundamental building blocks of games. It is a repeating sequence of actions that a player performs. And just as there are multiple arcs happening in any given scene of a film, there are multiple loops a player is engaged with in any given time. Take, for example, Catan, a game everybody should be familiar with. The most basic composition is the core gameplay loop. These are the basic actions you take during play. In Catan, you roll dice, collect resources, trade with other players, build, and then pass to collect and trade resources until it is your turn again. Even as you are engaged in this, you are actively working towards the larger meta loop. Finding avenues to build roads to new locations, acquiring the resources that place a settlement there to gain new sources of income, and then upgrading that into a city so that you can expand your road network once again. Repeat this process until it gives you enough points to win. And along the way, you can choose to engage with secondary loops, like buying development cards to steal from and disrupt others as you pursue the largest army. These loops give players motivations that drive each step on the path in front of them, and reinforce themes and patterns. The first time someone plays Catan, they will spend the first few rounds a little lost and confused about what's going on. But after the third or fourth turn, they'll be begging for brick and groaning when a 7 is rolled alongside their friends. In turn-based board games, they're usually pretty easy to see once you know what to look for. The core gameplay loop simply consists of the actions you take on your turn, and rounds usually go in a circle around the table, making the term loop literal. Turn-based or not, these concepts are fundamental to every game. Scenes in film are linear in nature. You watch the events happen, you empathize with the characters, you see the plot advance. The film foreshadows the upcoming events. But games are circular. There is still a beginning, a middle, and an end. But these component pieces function in a very different manner in games than they do in their cinematic counterparts. In film, the beginning introduces the characters, the setting. The first 10 minutes will instill the viewer with a reason to care about the next 80. A game's introduction trains the player on what to care about. It prepares them for the challenges ahead and teases them with hints of what they can become. They teach them the core gameplay loop, set them up for the overarching meta loop, and then tease them with the secondary loops. The middle of a film is time the viewer gets to see the plot advance, becomes more emotionally attached to the character, and spends time in the world and mystery the setting presents. It's about getting to know the film. A game's middle, however, is about embodying the game. All games, by their nature, are second person. You are the protagonist. You are the driving force in the world. As such, the game prepares you for the task at the end of the story. It prepares you to take on the challenges it will present you. And while films end in a climactic crash of on-screen action and emotion, games' endings are tests. How well did you learn the curriculum? Did you allocate your stats correctly? Did you learn to embody the core gameplay loop and engage the meta loops to prepare you for this? There is a medium that more closely aligns compositionally with the structure and the aim of a game. And while this, obviously, isn't a one-to-one comparison, the similarities are so strong that they often permeate and bleed over mediums. Sometimes this is intentional, and sometimes it simply occurs naturally. Film relies on narrative, characters, and set pieces to create connection with their audience. Music, however, is a medium that you feel in your body. You don't need to understand the language to appreciate the piece. Most of the time, I don't understand the lyrics, even in English songs, but I can still connect deeply with the song. While film uses the scene as its basic unit of composition, music utilizes the measure. Measures act as little building blocks that make up larger phrases, which are repeated to the listener to train them into becoming actively engaged in the piece. Whether it's slapping your steering wheel to We Will Rock You, or throwing your hands up for the YMCA, the repetition and circular nature of music trains us to become active participants in the art that is coming out of your speakers. And you may skip most of the lyrics in the first half of the song, but by the third refrain, you're often belting it along with the rest of your friends. Just like how the core gameplay loops in games train you to understand the game as you play. The art games art debate is something that I cared more deeply about when I was younger, and I was looking for validation for a medium and a hobby that has deep meaning to me. As I've gotten older and I've seen gaming explode into the juggernaut that it is, it's been easy to brush it aside with a roll of my eyes. But some things said won't leave my memory easily. It's hard for me to explain why they're wrong, but my mind won't let go of the emotional response that I feel. My old professor's words have this effect on me. So I want to add this game designer's feelings to that conversation. Of course, games are art. But not all art looks the same, communicates the same, or is derived from the same point of origins as the birth of Venus. And for me, the power and emotion I've felt in the very personal and interactive medium of games has enriched my life, in both its consumption and in its creation. As I've been writing about gameplay loops and repetition, it's occurred to me that I've been involved in a little bit of a loop myself with YouTube. Over the past month, I've utilized a rare opportunity I've had to release the videos that I've been making. It's been a lot of fun to work really hard on this and to put the video out and see people tune in. My last video was the first that I've had that hit over 1,000 views, and right now it's sitting at 3.2. That might not seem like a lot on a platform that regularly measures things in the hundreds of thousands, but it means a lot to me. Thank you for everybody who's given me 10 minutes of their time. I really want to continue doing this, though I am going to have to slow down my pace to about every other week. These videos take a lot of time and effort to make, and I'm getting better. But for now, it's a lot of nights, and hopefully I can continue to meet the expectations that you guys as the audience have. There are a couple of comments I want to read, and I'm kind of thinking about doing a longer video where I respond to some of the comments in depth. There are some other ones that I want to attribute some stories to. If that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear that. User @unreasonable3589 says, good analysis of a difficult issue. I agree, Stellar Blade does this well. This was the first game I played with a controller, and even on story mode it took me a while to get the hang of. After one run on story mode, I restarted on normal and then platinumed the PS version last year.
Now struggling with the computer in normal and PC. The training mechanism is brilliant and fits well with the sci-fi setting too. If normal is too easy, you can always take off your outfit and play in the skin suit, which gives you no shield, or use no consumables, or give yourself a fixed number of deaths before you have to restart from the beginning. On most RPGs, I find a relatively normal setting played, dead is dead, to be much more engaging than ramping up the difficulty through manipulating damage in or out of settings, which just forces you to min-max. Thank you for this comment. I always appreciate positive feedback. It feels good no matter what. I don't believe, for me, it's not about players should be forced to get good. I just want to make sure that I'm being encouraged to interact with the game. As you can see, I don't think games are movies. You can enjoy the story by watching a Let's Play online. That's what makes this medium so unique. So thanks for your good comments, and I really like how you point out is. And I don't want to just highlight some positive comments. I also want to shine a light on the things that other people are saying. For example, at Ignition_66 says, "That's Resident Evil 4 remake, not Resident Evil 4." And then he quotes George Orwell. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. George Orwell, 1984. You are right. That is Resident Evil 4 remake, not Resident Evil 4. To be honest, I like both. I think the Resident Evil 4 remake was pretty fantastic. I'm sorry you disagree with remakes, but as for me, I just like the footage that looks the best. And if you liked this video, please leave a like and subscribe to see new videos that are upcoming. I love talking about games and their design. I'm really hoping to talk about one of the games that I have coming up that'll hopefully be published in the next year, at most a couple of years from now, and to talk about the designs that go into it and the decisions that I made in creating it. It's a war game where you play as an arms manufacturer rather than a country. It's a lot of fun. It's designed to be simple, and I'd love to talk about that. So if you're interested in that, stick around. Also, if you have any experiences with talking about people and what video games mean to you, I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below.